Okay, today we're going to look at a more sophisticated way to create a web page. And actually sophisticated in the sense that you can do a lot of cool things with little effort. And it hides that HTML stuff I showed you the day before. Now before we do that, let's do a little recap of where we are and where we're going. So I'm going to use this page that my son created a couple of years ago. And we'll start off, and what is HTML? Well, remember, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And this person right here actually invented it. Very famous person, Tim Berners-Lee. And he is a millionaire. He's one of the first people to invent the internet. And basically what we're doing is using his knowledge and techniques to create web pages. And what we did in our previous lesson was use what's called an HTML editor. Okay? And there's lots of them out there, and we used one called First Page. Now, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with web pages, right? You can have fancy titles using H1. You can have these graphics. You can have these things called bullets. You can have buttons. You can do all kinds of neat things. All right? And of course, to do that, you use a program that's called an editor. This one's called Home Site. There's one's called First Page. We're going to learn a new one today called Dreamweaver. There's lots of different ways to create web pages. Now, what I did with you guys the first time, as an example, last lesson was I said, hey, type in a bunch of stuff, and then press enter and type in some more stuff. And then when you looked at it, it looked like it was all on the same line. You're like, oh, how'd that happen? Well, web design, HTML is not what you see is what you get. You have to be very specific. So to get 2 lines, you have to use a BR command, which is the break command. After we did that, we talked about headings. Okay, you have big headings, small headings. You can do that line, which is called the horizontal ruler. And here are the 6 possible headings you can have. After that, we looked at character formatting. Okay, and you can do things like center, underline, bold, italic. Let's move down. We did some stuff with bullets. Remember, there's 2 kinds of things you can do. You can do unordered lists and ordered lists. After that, we looked at images. Okay, and there's 2 kinds of images you can work with. You can work with these things called JPEGs, and you can work with GIFs. You can make them larger and smaller. You can put borders around them. Okay, you can put words to the left of them, to the right of them. And then we talked about links. All right, and you can click on stuff and go to a different page. You can go to different places on the internet. You can also link to other things. You can have images be links. See, that's a picture, and it goes to another page. Okay, so it doesn't have to always be words that are linked to stuff. You can also link to words, or, videos, audio. Here's one where you can have a sound effect play when you press something. Okay, you can play MIDI files. You can do all kinds of neat things. Then we looked at more closely at graphics, and as I mentioned, these are the 2 most popular ones, GIF and JPEG. And then we use those facts by changing our color background and have images as backgrounds. That's a neat one. Okay, and didn't show you this, but you can change the font colors, different style of fonts, and then you can make transparent GIFs. Okay, and all these different little things we learned last lesson. Okay, and what we're going to do today is use a more professional program called Dreamweaver and make a more sophisticated looking site, something like this. We're going to make a website for a cafe. Now, when you make more professional looking websites and you start getting more into it, what you should do, even before you start the program that you're going to use to make the web page, is you go to your hard drive, wherever, and you make a folder. And that folder becomes the base of your operation. So I'm going to call this folder Cafe. All right, and everything about my website is going to go in that folder. So every picture I use, every web page I make, and web pages can have more than one page. You can have the main page and a bunch of other pages. Everything's going to go in there. Okay, so as I get this web page ready, what I've got already ahead of time is I've got a folder that's going to have some of the files that I want to use. So I'm going to sneak a couple of these folders in there already. So I've got this lesson 2 that I'm going to use in a second. I'm going to sneak that over, and there's a lesson 6b that I'm going to use. Okay, and I'm not going to grab every single one, but I'm going to grab a couple of them. Okay, and those are going to get me started, and then we'll modify them and change them. So I'm going to put them into the folder I made called Cafe. Now these would be things that you already made. And also, like I said, every picture that you're going to use on your website, and obviously you want to have a website with pictures, you also have to put in there. So you'd go online, get pictures, get them off the computer somewhere, and I'm going to very quickly steal these pictures that I've got in this folder. I don't know if I'm going to use every one of them, but I'll use some of them. And they all have to go in that folder. So you're saying, well, why don't you just leave them there? No, you can't. The folder that's going to have your main website has to have everything in there with it. Okay, so I'm basically set now and ready to put together my cafe. Alright, now before I start working on my cafe, what I want to get you to realize is that what you do when you use this program called Dreamweaver is you just type it like it's in Word. You don't even realize what you're doing. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it starts, and we're going to pick obviously HTML. That's what we're programming in. Although don't be scared this time, you don't have to do the coding. So when you start the program, it looks like this, kind of neat. And you go, okay, so where's that stuff with the tags and everything that you taught us before? It's not here. Okay, so what you do is you just start typing. This is my first web page using Dreamweaver. And you press enter, and then you might want to put your name. Okay, and then in a few seconds we'll add a few other things. So what happened? How's this look? What's it look like? So just for fun, I'm going to save this. This isn't going to be my cafe, obviously, but I'll save it where I did my stuff, and then we'll do the cafe. So I'm going to sneak my way down into where I have the cafe, and I'll just call this one my test. All right, so it's not part of my cafe, really. Okay, now in this program, the way you look on the internet is you press that little globe, and this sort of simulates what it would look like on a real internet site. There it is. This is my first web page, Shirelli. Not bad. Not bad because where's the code? Well, there is a way to get to the underground. See how it says the word design there? If you press this one that says code, hey, there's that ugly stuff that I couldn't stand before. And there it is. There is the body, and there's this P thing which stands for paragraph, and there's me typing, this is my first web page, and there's Shirelli. So it puts in the codes behind my back. I didn't even tell it to do that. Now, did you notice that they had 2 spaces there? How do you get it to go down only 1 space? Well, instead of pressing enter, which goes down 2 spaces, if you press shift enter, it only goes down 1 space. See how it's close together? Let's go into the underground again and see what the difference is. So when there's 2 spaces, it uses that P letter, which is paragraph. But when it goes down 1 space, it uses BR. Alright, so it's doing all of this behind your back. Alright, what else can it do? Well, just like the other programs, if you look down here, you can do bullets. I didn't even, type in any commands. Again, let's go into the underground, and there's the code. Isn't that cool? So it's doing all that dirty work behind your back now, and you don't really have to ever go there. Now, you do sometimes like to go underneath and change the odd thing just to make it look a little bit better, but that's the way this program called Dreamweaver works. Okay, so now let's clear this program out. So I'm going to go File, Close, and I'm not going to save it. Okay, I'm going to start fresh.